Hey y'all, coming in. Come in. Hope everybody doing okay. Happy birthday to you. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do. Um, Thanks so much for the super chat. And I would like to thank y'all for joining the channel also for $4.99. Thank you for the new subscriber who joined and those who have stepped in and helped the channel out. Okay. Let's talk about Willis, okay? Fannie Willis, what is going on? Really, what's really going on, y'all? I have sat here, I have listened to this hearing, and I have made my decision on a lot of things, but I'm not hearing what I want to hear in this Fannie Willis verdict. All I'm hearing is that she and Wade had something going on the way they had it going on, and they wanted to work as team together, even though they liked each other. But what money, we got to find out what money is missing. Okay, so right now we're gonna listen to the hearing where the Georgia Senate is talking. Okay, and then also you have Judge Scott who been good, pretty good, working on both sides. So here we go, right here, y'all.
The one that took over that power. And so the emails that were attached to a lot of the pleadings, it was interesting. It first started out that there was someone else in the DA's office who's actually an employee of the DA's office who was negotiating all of that. And then it evolved to another member of the DA's staff. And then ultimately it was Mr. Wade. And there's emails where he said, I'm the only one that can grant immunity. I'm the only one that has the power to do this. I'm in charge.
Was he engaged or involved in the special grand jury process?
Oh, very much so. He was by far the lead of it.
And
How
do
you
have
know?
the timeline of when that special grand jury was authorized and when it began to meet?
Yes, I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but and I can review it. I brought some of the pleadings with me, but it was authorized sometime. So he was appointed. The timeline, he was appointed in November 2021. To work on this case. It was sometime after that Ms. Willis sought the special purpose grand jury and got authority to do that. And then that went through, several months.
Okay, look, I'm gonna stop it right here. I just want to know, how do she know this? How does she know so much? She don't work with them. This is more like we sitting here listening to hearsay.
So he was hired by the Fulton County DA's office before the special grand jury was authorized or
Yes.
impaneled? Okay. And so he was involved from the very beginning of that process.
Yes, and he was actually hired, I believe, before it was even, I know it was before it was impaneled. I believe it was before the order was even issued, though.
And do you know what his role was as what's the official term? A special assistant district attorney?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. He usually goes by special counsel or special prosecutor. I don't believe he goes by special assistant district attorney. I don't think he's permitted to do that. I've studied these statutes a lot, and there's no real term for it. I've heard him go by independent counsel.
Yeah, to be honest with you, this is hearsay. Who is she to know what's going on in their office without her being there? And why are they questioning her?
Things like that, but I don't really think independent counsel would be an appropriate term because he's not independent. So I've studied, I did not know this before, but I've studied, the structure of the independent counsel in the federal system. They're actually a separate office. They have their own appropriations to have a separate office, and they are kept separate from the U.S. Attorney's Office. So that would be where you get the independent counsel term from, or independent prosecutor. He goes by special usually, so special prosecutor or special counsel. And I think that's because he's not independent.
You think?
Is this commonly used in the state of Georgia? I don't know the scope of your practice. I'm not familiar with DAs doing this often.
That's what I'm saying.
No, and so I do practice throughout the state, and I've practiced in almost some point in my career, and it is very rare. I've had instances where there is special counsel, but those are very limited, and I can tell you about those, and then I can also tell you what I did to investigate that, because I had the same question. So first,
just so you'll know why we're asking.
Thank you.
The scope of this committee is we've heard a lot of the allegations, and you, as a matter of fact, made most of them. Or
Thank you.
made some of these public, and there's of course a public, outrage or uproar or concerns about some of the alleged improprieties that you have brought forth, both within the in the system kind of appropriate conduct,
Right.
And also financial improprieties. And we're tasked with investigating and finding the true facts.
There you
and
go.
Not just taking the press at face value, and that's why we're asking you for documents, et cetera, so we can
Thank you.
independently verify the various allegations that have been made. But we're also specifically tasked with, if necessary, amending existing statutes or creating new statutes to build guardrails or whatever to essentially restore the public faith in our criminal justice system, in its impartiality and its fairness. And I have looked at some of the existing statutes, but it's very sketchy. What is the real authority? And we wonder if we need statutory authority or statutory limitations. And so I'm going to explore with you a little bit what the authority is for a special grand jury to be conducting a criminal investigation, and also the use of a special assistant district attorney is what I'm referring it to. But so that's the context. You have done that research, so help walk us through this just a little bit. Is there a statutory process that gives authority to utilize a special grand jury to advise a DA or to essentially accumulate evidence for a DA to determine whether or not to indict?
Right. So the first question was about whether this happens throughout the state or not. I did do open records to every single district attorney in the entire state of Georgia to find out, because I wanted to know, I knew based on my practice that it was a very rare process, but I wanted to know, I wanted the data. I wanted to actually see it. So we did an open records for every single district attorney. We have received responses from almost all of them. There's only a couple that we haven't, but I don't.
But I heard this the last time. What is new about this? Let me skip this. And I noticed they doing a lot of skipping. I remember this because we talked about it.
Jeff DeSantis contracted or called this company, and it's in the emails. I think I provided those as well, but contacted Critical Mention and said, we need to hire you to do media monitoring. And it was the same week that she had sent the letter to Raffensperger and Kemp about this case. Said, we need to have a contract to do media monitoring. Got $10,000 approved, paid $10,000 for a year contract, for an annual contract.
Who approved that?
Jeff DeSantis' email said the county approved it, and his emails indicated that it was hard to get approved, that he had to really push it.
I don't believe half of this stuff this woman's saying. I don't. Can't no county just up and approve nothing like that. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just gonna let y'all. We gonna hear out this track, this hearing, and everything. I bet I gave you what they've got to prove all of this about Fani Willis. Okay, they gonna have to prove it. I ain't seen no proof yet.
Is what he said. There's some language to that, but the county paid for it.
Do other DAs do that?
I've never even heard of media monitoring. I didn't even know it existed. No. It was very shocking. But so I got some of the emails about this media monitoring. So I did open records, and again, once I got them, they shut me down and wouldn't give me anything else. But so these emails have attachments, they're PDFs, and you can see in the emails the hyperlink to them where you can actually see the analytical reports. That's what I wanted. Obviously, nobody would give those to me. But these emails showed a trail where two people in her office, so Miss Willis, Mr. DeSantis, and then Robin Yeardy, were the ones that had access to this Critical Mention profile. It's like it's a platform that you can log into and see, how am I doing in the media.
What was Robin Yeardy's role in the DA's office?
She was a liaison between the news organizations. So she said that like when CNN, MSNBC wanted her on, they would call Robin and she would coordinate it. She would do her hair and makeup, and then she would coordinate her interviews. But so how I found Robin was I'm going through these emails.
You know what it sounds like? I'm not on neither side. I'm just saying, speaking my opinion, giving my reaction. It just seemed like somebody trying to get her position, Fani Willis' position, trying to knock her out the way. Let's get her out the way. Let's say something. Let's put something in place to get rid of her. But this woman right here is not enough. She's not enough to move Fani Willis out the way. She's not enough. She haven't said enough. She haven't shown enough. She do more winking her eye and moving her head too much. I don't trust people like that who can't look you in your eye and talk to you. And look at her.
All of a sudden, I see an email from Mr. DeSantis saying, take Robin off of this account. She's no longer with the office. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's her. And so I found a picture of her and I asked Terrence, is that her? Because I found out she had been fired or been let go or had quit or whatever it was. And so that's how I was able to figure out who Robin Yeardy was. Then we were able to run her, run her information, get an address. And that's how we were able to narrow down where
like
this
your
FBI.
So that's where basically Miss Willis and Mr. Wade would meet for their relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Mr. Bradley told me at that first meeting that they would meet at hotels. He told me about a lot of travel. I mean, he detailed, he detailed a lot of stuff. He said that they traveled to Texas, they traveled to Florida, a lot of different travel. He said Belize. He specifically said Belize, a cruise, the Bahamas, things like that.
And you were later able to verify
What?
that?
No.
Subpoenas or open records request or whatever.
Yes, I was. I was able to.
So what that on, pray?
I subpoenaed credit card records, and then I actually subpoenaed the travel agencies that Mr. Wade used for some of those trips. He used 2 of the cruises that they took. He used a travel agency. So there was a cruise to the Bahamas. I got through a travel agency. There was a trip to Aruba that I got through the travel agency, and then there was another cruise. I think that one's to the Bahamas also that I got through a different travel agency. And then his credit cards are the ones that showed all the Belize.
Thank you. And see, and that's what I was saying. Bradley is, you can't, this still hearsay. So I'm going to, after they finish with this, I'm going to look it up and see where Wade just stepped down. And I won't blame Wade. I will move out the way to keep all of this confusion down. It's just like, hey, I'm just I'm not gonna go over your grandma's house. Okay. I'm gonna try to put it up on YouTube. GTV, okay. But this hearsay.
Buying the tickets for both himself and Miss Willis.
Oh yes, the credit card statements. So because I guess he used a travel agency, his credit card statements actually had her name and seat number and all that on it.
Okay.
So there was no disputing.
Clear it was paid for by him on his credit cards.
Yes. Oh yes.
This is the document you gave us from the captain there.
It is. Yes, and there you can see. So Clara Bowman is Mr. Wade's mom. This was the cruise
I ain't
that
seen
happened
this.
October 31st, around that date. Mr. Wade paid for Miss Willis, Mr. Wade, and then his mother's plane tickets, and then also their cruise receipt. I think that one was Royal Caribbean.
Okay. So your summary here showing the trips, we know that in late October they took a cruise to the Bahamas, and this is from his financial records. He paid for this for both tickets.
Yes, this is from his financial records, and I tried to be, there were a lot of Ubers and things like that. I did not include things like that I wasn't positive. I wanted to be under-inclusive, not over-inclusive.
Right. And then you show the trip to Aruba, another one to Bahamas, one to Belize, one to Napa Valley, California. Yes. These are all from October 22 up till May 23.
Yes.
Okay. This is a document you produced us?
Yes.
This summary, is this something we prepared?
No, it's a summary.
Okay. And so you discovered that and verified its accuracy through these credit card receipts, et cetera?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Do either of them deny these trips occurred?
No, not at all.
And so is this the impropriety, the financial impropriety of getting financial benefit from the job that he's paying for her way on these trips with money?
Yes.
That she's paying him and approving?
This is what I would call undisputed. Some of the other stuff on his credit cards, it looks like there's trips to Charlotte and Florida and other things like that. But this is what we could undisputed say was with Miss Willis.
Oh Lord, this don't make no sense, and they know it
Back to
doesn't.
you're a good investigative reporter here, so you have heard these rumors.
See,
and
I
Mr.
just
Brett-
said that she act more like an investigator instead of attorney. That's what I said. What I said, and this man is coming out saying the same thing. I haven't heard what he said today. I just not pulled this up, and he's sitting here saying the same thing. He's saying the same thing. She act like an investigator more instead of a attorney, and they not the same.
Bradley, just by almost happenstance, you're with him in court,
Yes.
and he spills the beans on it and verifies it. Then you go get the documents to prove it's accurate,
Yes.
and you identify year to get him to say, yeah, that's the woman whose condominium they would go to.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, I developed it. You joke about my investigative skills. I've done public defense most of my career. You know, at some point or another, or pro bono. It's hard to get money for investigators, so I've learned how to do a lot on my own. And you know, I dig a lot on things. So, and I do like to use the Open Records Act. So I was able to do that and get a lot of information. But what I did was I compiled all of the information Mr. Bradley gave me, and then I did various open records requests based on it. And then, you know, once I would get something, I would reach out to him to verify, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't tracking anything that was wrong. You know, I didn't want to make any allegations that didn't have support. So I would regularly verify with him, and I'd see him in court. We talked on the phone several times. I wasn't the only person that he told about this. There was another attorney on the case, Manny Aurora, who his client ultimately pled out, so he didn't continue this investigation, but he was involved in the investigation early on. And Mr. Bradley told him some of the same things that he told me. So
He
I
said,
was
she
able to
said.
independently verify a lot of things, which to me, investigating is important. You know, that the East Point location, that it was in Hateville. You know, Robin Yeardy actually did
supposed to
quit.
do that.
You know, Mr. Bradley had told
Was
me
she
about
forced to quit, or what? How'd that come
No,
about?
I don't believe she was forced to quit. That was a point of contention in our hearing. She said she left, that she was sent to another division. It's my understanding she had some, she was outspoken about, she didn't like some of the things that was happening in that office. And when she voiced that, she was sent to a different department to work, and it wasn't something that she wanted to do, because she did the communications. She quit after that, is my understanding, based on her testimony and the allegations and all the pleadings.
All right, so after, I might be skipping parts of your investigation because it's pretty darn thorough, and you had gotten this track hawk, or cell hawk, what's it called, where you're tracking the
Yes.
location. You were mentioning to me earlier when I kind of got you off that employees can have it on their own phone if they want to, and they can, she could have gone back and proven that they had not been communicating before he was hired.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me explain that, because there's two different systems, and you know, I'm always learning new things about this. But cell phone data is one of the new things in criminal defense. We see it in a lot of cases. The cell hawk data that you just showed, that is geolocation data. That is different.
She can't
from
even
the
look
cell
them in
phone.
their eye.
So there's two different programs. CellHawk is the program that does geolocation data. Essentially what you do is you get all of the pings. So every time your phone, you know, you see those cell phone towers everywhere. Every time you use your phone, it's trying to find the closest tower. So in a metro area like this, there's a lot of towers. That's why we get good signals. So when he's in Hateville, there's a lot of towers. So we can really narrow it down. So what we had our investigator do, and I'm only talking about the geolocation stuff, the text in a minute, but what we had our investigator do was narrow it down. We got all the raw data, and we had him narrow down, and we actually excluded a ton of things that were not right on top of this location. Like, we wanted to be very, very careful just to have what was literally right on top of this location. So he created a geolocation fence, which...
The location you're talking about is Miss Yeardy's condo?
Yes,
Okay.
It is Miss Yeardy's condo. That area. So he was able to find, essentially, just to summarize a couple of the things, where he, you know, Mr. Wade would call Miss Willis at midnight, something like that.
Y'all
And
on
then
them
all
like
of a sudden,
that?
His phone would travel, and you can actually watch it. When you do the live CellHawk, the app.
That's not fair.
It's pretty cool. You can actually watch the phone travel, and it's pinging because you're using it. You know, if you have an app open, your phone's pinging. So my phone's pinging right now because I'm sure I have an app open. So it's pinging from his house all the way down to the condo at midnight.
Y'all see that?
And he calls her when he gets there, and then it goes silent for 4 or 5 hours, and then, you know, early in the morning hours, he starts pinging again, driving back, and then he texts her when he gets home. So,
And this is before he gets hired in November of 21.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and there's a couple different ones, and I would defer to the experts on the cell hawk data, but that's the summaries based on.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to skip this. I just don't agree with a lot of this. He said, she said. Let me look at the paperwork. That's the main thing I want to see.
What I had mentioned earlier.
You have to have the cell phone to do that?
You do. You have to have the
So
cell phone.
what did Mr. Bradley give you all his cell phone? Did you get Mr. Wade's cell phone?
Thank you.
So we did not get that data from Mr. Wade. So we only got the geolocation data from Mr. Wade. I do not have the power to get the text messages. I don't have that power. I would have to have.
So who got it?
The state's the only one that has the power to actually get someone's text messages out of
That's
their
some
phone.
bullshit.
But my whole point in saying that was if I had been accused of having an affair and it didn't start, and I said it started in April and someone else said it started in November, they have the ability. I don't have the ability. They have the ability to plug that phone into the Cellbrite and print out a report.
Right.
That shows all of the texts.
So Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis, had they wanted to disprove your allegations, could have just used that Cellbrite program, and it would have shown no communications between them.
Yes, and it would have also showed the contents of the text. If the texts are romantic, if they're not romantic, if they're friendly.
Man, this is so personal. They all in these people business. Why though? Why though? Why? This is personal. Jesus, God, I can't believe this. Let me skip this. She's really kind of like getting to me a little bit. She's not been she been more trying to be more like a FBI instead of an attorney. I bet her husband can't tell her nothing.
I know you have a court appearance this afternoon, and you've been very patient.
See, I seen this before. Okay, let me put I seen this before. Let me put we saw this last time. Let me put up here, try to find out why did what's the name step down. Let me see, can I find it? You said that girl, she don't upset me. I don't even want to hear this no more. Said that Wade just stepped down. Wade. This just blah blah blah. And I don't blame Wade. I'll step down too. Just to keep this mess out. And that's what they want him to do. He did what they want. They really wanted her to step down, but she ain't no weak woman. So I'm not on her side. I'm just telling the truth, y'all.
Hey, Mika, we have a decision from Judge Scott McAfee of the Fulton County Superior Court, and a 23-page decision this morning. He finds that there is not an actual conflict of interest that was proven by the defendants here, but he also finds that there's significant appearance of impropriety that infects the entire current structure of the prosecution team, and therefore he gives Fani Willis a choice. She can either choose to remove herself and her entire office from the prosecution of this case, or she can determine that Nathan Wade, the special assistant district attorney who has been helming the leadership of this case, can himself be removed from the case, which would allow her and the remainder of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office to go forward. Mika, that's a victory for Fani Willis.
Wow.
Hey, Mika, we have a decision from Judge Scott McAfee.
Okay, let me go back right here. So, I see what happened. They gave her trust.
Hey, Mika.
I got to put it on this. All of this going on. All of this happening.
Treatments and skincare with care credit.
Sheesh.
Do you have 10K or more?
Where you
in debt?
been,
You may
Lanita?
qualify for national debt relief. They can help you regain financial control.
This
We are
qualification.
interrupting programming with breaking news right now involving Georgia's election interference case. Just Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade resigned from the case. It is coming after Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee issued his ruling in the disqualification case, saying that either Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis or Nathan Wade would have to step down from the case. Investigator Zach Merchant has been following this case since day one. Zach, are you surprised at all following this announcement from the judge?
I think in a case like this, saying we're surprised, there's been so many twists and turns.
It
that
sure
this is
has.
the latest one. Legal experts we spoke with today suggested that they anticipated this decision given the language of Judge Scott McAfee's order earlier today. He effectively gave District Attorney Fani Willis two choices, and those two choices were, one, Nathan Wade can be removed from the case, and if he is removed, DA Willis and the rest of the prosecutors in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office can keep this case moving forward.
There you
go.
go.
The second option is if Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade stayed on the case, well, then Judge McAfee said everybody in the District Attorney's Office, including Fani Willis, would be disqualified. And given that, legal experts said it seemed likely that Nathan Wade would step down. Now we know for sure. We have his official resignation letter here. He says, and I'm quoting, this is Nathan Wade saying, "I am offering my resignation in the interest of democracy, in dedication to the American public, and to move this case forward as quickly as possible."
And I was going to ask you about the speed with which we're receiving this information of him resigning from this position.
Okay, let me stop right here. I don't see nothing wrong with him stepping down. I don't see nothing wrong with him stepping down. He ain't all of that to be staying up. You know what I mean? So if Bradley wants to be on the team with Fani Willis, let's play it fair with both of them. Let's not cause no kind of animosity against Bradley or anybody like that. Let's go on with the real truth. You know what happened. But I think this was fairly well done. I think that the judge did a good job of this. And Wade should have stepped down. Wade needed to step down.
He does mention moving this case forward as quickly as possible, and I think that's been on a lot of folks' minds watching this, whether or not the case will proceed and how quickly.
And it's still an open question, but we have to keep in mind, there were more than 2 months spent just sorting through this disqualification controversy and getting to a point where we had the order this morning, and now we have the resignation of Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade right now, just in the last few minutes. But those 9 weeks, those 10 weeks that we've spent on this, they're still gone. And the question of now how quickly a trial may come, many folks wondering if it could still come before the November election, it's an open question. Legal experts we talked to today, many say it's still possible, but it will be a tall hurdle to clear.
Less and less likely given what we have been going through over the last few weeks. As you said, we just got this letter in from Nathan Wade. It also says, I'm sure that the case and the team will be in good hands moving forward and will be served. And so a lot of folks, still a lot of questions.
But to me, I think he did hold on, y'all. Let me put some water in my pot. I'm making some oxtail. Hold on, okay? Burn my oxtail. Hold on, y'all. Oh, Lord. Oh, got to put some water in my pot. Hold on. Here I come. Woo! Okay, y'all, here I come. Can't burn my oxtails. I paid too much for them. Okay. Now, I kind of agree with what the judge did say. Pray. I kind of agree with what the judge did. To be honest with you, because it's too much. It's too much blah, blah, blah in this right here. And Fani can use her team with that way. She can use her team with that way. I think it was pretty good.
Sharing a good deal of praise for the performance, in her view, of her special prosecutor, Nathan Wade.
And that's something we were also looking for after this announcement, this ruling from Judge Scott McAfee, what we would hear and when we would hear from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis herself. And so now we are hearing from her in the way of this acceptance of this resignation.
We are, and it was an open question until now. Judge McAfee didn't put a deadline on when DA Willis had to make this decision. It's also important to note, too, that Judge McAfee left it open whether District Attorney Willis would have to remove Nathan Wade from the case, basically fire him, or Nathan Wade could step down. And we want to be clear here, this is Nathan Wade stepping down, at least from all we've read here. It's not a termination. It's him voluntarily resigning and the district attorney accepting that resignation.
And so there's still going to be a lot to unpack here.
Okay, let me see what else. Let me see. I wish they have show. How did they show it? I want to see where they show that he's stepping down. You know what I mean? I want to see this. Let's put it on here. Let's put it on this.
We'll buy your house for cash, no matter the condition. Stuck with a property that feels more like a burden.
Okay,
whether it's
let's write
outdated
him.
and needs repair or simply
That's
As
right
we have
here.
been expecting all afternoon since Judge Scott McAfee issued his ruling regarding District Attorney Fani Willis and her ability to stay on the case prosecuting Donald Trump and his co-defendants for trying to overturn the 2020 election. We've just learned that Nathan Wade, the lead prosecutor in that case, has stepped down after this scathing ruling by Judge McAfee, and we've obtained a copy of the letter that Wade wrote to District Attorney Fani Willis tending his resignation. The very first sentence, quote, "The furtherance of the rule of law and democracy is and has always been the North Star of our combined efforts in this prosecution." Clearly here, Wade taking the step of resigning in part because he had no other choice. We have a team of reporters and analysts looking at this story. Now we want to go to CNN's Nick.
He did have a choice. And if he just don't want to mess up what Fani got, that still won't stop them from communicating.
He was live for us in Fulton County. Nick, the letter here essentially outlining that he's proud of the work that he's done for Fani Willis.
Right.
But that it's clear, according to Judge McAfee, that he needs to step away.
That's what they wanted to do.
Nathan Wade is out as the special prosecutor in the criminal case involving the former president and some of his closest allies. I'm looking here at that resignation letter from the Wade Campbell law firm addressed to the Honorable Fani Willis. You read part of that, and I'm going to read a little bit more here. It says, although the court found that the defendants failed to meet their burden of proving that the DA acquired an actual conflict of interest, I'm offering my resignation in the interest of democracy and dedication to the American public and to move this case forward as quickly as possible. It is a very short resignation letter, but it does add at the end of it that he wishes the District Attorney's Office success and safety through this process. It's something, as you mentioned, that we had been anticipating for all day, really, since we got this ruling. But now, Boris, it is.
That's right. Pray.
That's right. And let's just be clear about what this order had said, right? After the evidentiary hearing, we heard from the judge writing in a couple dozen pages here. The court therefore concludes that the prosecution of this case cannot proceed until the state selects one of two options. One seemed very clear. It wasn't going to happen. The district attorney may choose to step aside along with the whole of her office and refer the prosecution to the prosecuting attorney's counsel for reassignment, or alternatively, SADA Wade can withdraw. Let's bring in Paula Reed to talk a little bit more about this. We were expecting this. It was really a matter of when.
It was a matter of when, and this is a pretty classy letter, right? He tries to bring it back to the idea that the most important thing here is the rule of law and democracy, reminds people that the nature of this case are allegations that people tried to undermine the outcome of the 2020 election. These are
That's what it's all about.
Way. He also points out the fact that the judge did not find an actual conflict here. They did not find actual corruption, or that Fani Willis or Nathan Wade engaged in some sort of scheme to financially.
See, that's what I was saying. That's what made me put my title right there. And I didn't know all of this was going on until the day something told me that only time I talk about something is when my mind tells me to speak on it. And something told me to check up on this case today. And just like y'all, like I was saying, that I don't see nothing where it was a scheme or nothing. I don't. I just see a relationship. And hey, let's get a with this. Now, Bradley shouldn't be able to work with this case. Bradley shouldn't be able to be okay if what his name? Wade stepped down, Bradley shouldn't pull up. He shouldn't be in this to me. He shouldn't be involved in the hearing case with Trump. He shouldn't play a role in this on her
off of this
on Fani Willis' team.
He says, quote, the defendants failed to meet their burden of proving that the district attorney acquired an actual conflict of interest. So this is a pretty well done letter, given all of the circumstances.
He's very professional.
It brings it back to the facts and the law, because at the heart of this is a criminal case that is mostly intact. They just had 6 counts dismissed, but we knew this had to happen, and this is a pretty classy way to go, given everything that's happened over the past few months.
To your point, he redirects the attention away from the question of conflict of interest, which has been settled, away from the controversy surrounding the romantic relationship, and focuses on the question of Donald Trump and his allies allegedly trying to overturn the 2020 election. He says that he's offering his resignation in the interest of democracy.
And you know what? And I can understand that, and that's okay. So that's the way Wade look at it. But so what? It's just like on a lot of jobs that you're not even supposed to you're not supposed to hire your kinfolk. You're not even supposed to be working on a job with something like it's a lot of employers like that, where they want to know if you some kin. So it's the same thing as that. I can understand it. You know, I don't have no problem with them dating and whatever they do, but they don't need to be on the team together. I agree with you there.
People. We want to go to Norm Eisen, who's standing by. Norm, your reaction to the news that this is now officials, that Nathan Wade has stepped aside in the Fulton County prosecution?
Boris, he's doing the right thing here. This relationship was never smart. We've discussed from the start that likely was not a legal or evidentiary basis for disqualification, but that Wade had to go. That's been clear for many weeks. Now he's done it. I do think it's his commitment. There have been so many false things said about him, that he was not a highly qualified lawyer coming to this case. That's been proven false. That he didn't do a good job on the case. That's not true either. He defeated, with the team he led, some of the best litigators in the country in a series of pretrial skirmishes. He got 4 guilty pleas. But once this controversy emerged, he had to go. It's the right thing to do. It's a strong and good order by the judge. I'm glad to see Wade and the DA's office acting fast so we can return to getting this trial scheduled, which is what a majority of the American people would like to see.
Me too.
Happen.
Norm, stay with us as we head back to Atlanta and Nick Valencia.
I am.
Were you, Nick,
I wouldn't have known unless something told me to jump on it today.
Well, look, Wade was an instrumental part of this case. He was with Fani Willis for 865 days, to be exact, and part of the team that secured 19 indictments, including against the former president, and also 4 guilty pleas. And now we have our hands on the response from Fani Willis to Nathan Wade's resignation letter, and she highlights some of those accomplishments by her lead, or former lead prosecutor. I want to read part of this letter here now. It says, quote, I will always remember and will remind everyone that you were brave enough to step forward and take on the investigation and prosecution of the allegations that the defendants in this case engaged in a conspiracy to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Fani Willis goes on to say, others who were considered were understandably concerned for the safety of themselves and their families that would arise from their acceptance of your role. You were the one who had the courage to accept the role, even though you did not seek it. Just very quickly, I think this other paragraph that follows up is also important. She says, you are an outstanding advocate. 865 days you served on this case, you completed a thorough investigation that required the use of a special purpose grand jury to compel the testimony of witnesses inside and outside of Georgia, including litigating in 8 states.
You know what, y'all, I'm going to tell you something. This may be the best thing that ever happened in this case. This may be one of the best and the most important thing that could ever taken place in this case, in this ruling. This is one of the best things. She might not need this man right here. She might not need a Wade. on her team. You know what I mean? She might not need it wait on 10. And also, you said, I'm glad it's over. It's been in the news for weeks, it's been there. And Fani is running to be re-elected. She needs to be. She needs to be. But this would teach her a way to handle herself. And I'm glad that the judge, if y'all didn't have a good judge, no telling how this would have turned out. And I don't blame her. I run again.
District of Columbia and the United States.
Now, the only thing I don't like is about her with this RICO case, with a Young Thug RICO case. That's the only thing. I don't understand the purpose of that RICO case, but I'm not going to talk about the RICO case that at another time. Okay, here we go, y'all.
To obtain critical testimony. So a very complimentary letter back by Fani Willis to this breaking news that we have here, that Nathan Wade, as we expected, is out as a lead prosecutor in this case. Brianna?
So now who's going to be the lead prosecutor?
Work on the case.
Now who's going to be the lead prosecutor now? Who they going to select now? Who are they going to select now? Are they going to put Bradley right there? I don't know.
Please stand by. We also have Jen standing by. And Jen, Norm alluded to the idea of how this case now moves forward. So Nathan Wade has tendered his resignation. What do you think comes next?
Well, next they'll continue with the process of trying to get a trial date set and moving towards that trial date. You know, they've been engulfed in this controversy for weeks now, and that's kind of put everything else on the back burner. But Fani Willis and her team were looking for initially an August trial date. I don't think there's any way that's going to happen, but they're now going to shift their attention to trying to get
it's someone that's going to be fair. You know, who's really going to work with her like a team. You know what I mean? You're a miss.
Feedback.
What you do with your ranch?
In the mode of scheduling them a trial date so that they can move towards a date certain. And of course, to the extent that Nathan Wade was going to be involved in those preparations for trial, they'll have to replace him in order to move forward in that vein once they get a trial date.
Yeah, and she has certainly been admonished in this. A legal win for her, to be clear. She will remain on this case. But some blistering
I've been on Young Thug case. I just sent y'all something yesterday. Girl, I put that out there for y'all. Pray. Trust me. Now, you know I'm on that. Now, you know I'm on that. You need to go back and hear what I said. Go back. Go back, baby. I'm on that case. A witness said he had answering no more questions because he lost his job. What? Nah, I got to catch up with it today. I see what you said today. Y'all doing too much. Hold on. Let me do this and then I'm going to catch up with Thug now.
How she proceeds here.
That part on lost his job.
Maybe in style or tone.
Well, I do hope that she takes to heart some of what the judge said. You know, he criticized her for the unprofessional nature of her testimony. He said that her judgment was poor in this. So, you know, I do hope that she takes those words to heart. They're also sharp criticism of the church that she gave in this case, including playing the race card, suggesting the defendants were playing the race card. So I do hope she carefully reads and absorbs the words of Judge McAfee, who seems to me to have been very reasonable in this ruling, and that she does have that govern her going forward. I mean, this particular controversy is behind her, but the judge even suggested that defendants should file.
Looks like we have a technical issue, but I will finish the thought for her with Paula Reed. It seems like Judge McAfee set the table for a potential gag order against District Attorney Willis.
Yeah, and that's pretty shocking because usually prosecutors don't make statements about cases that they're working on. You know, they're not sparring with defense counsel on the witness stand.
Okay, y'all, I did want to say this. I'm glad things turned out the way it did. And like I said, putting somebody else up there, going to put up there next to be the lead prosecutor since Wade stepped down, and that was the smartest thing for Wade to do, was to step down and move out the way. Yeah, that was the resignation was a wonderful and the best thing for him. Now, y'all, that's the kind of judge you want to be. Now, I love the judge that they had. I love this man, and he listened. But I wanna, what I'm gonna do. I'm so glad they over with this, y'all. We will be, uh, uh, watching it. It's been so much. I've been having a birthday week that's been going on. But I'm about to jump on Young Thug. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm checking on my oxtail. I can't burn my oxtail for y'all and Fani Willis. But I'll be back with God. Now I got to catch up. Now I got to catch up with Thug for today. Okay, y'all. I love y'all and thank you for watching this trial with me and putting your reaction to what's going. And your reaction means a lot in this case like this. And I think Fani Willis had learned a lot. I hope she never would go into a church and on somebody's panel and say what she said like that again. And by the way, she should have they should have rehearsed what she was gonna say anyway. Hey, y'all make sure y'all give me some lights on this right here. Now this one no hard route to take and think, okay? Love y'all. And thank you very much, Maud. I'm out of here.